my sermon today is about balance. So I'll start with this. Tensegrity. Tensegrity. It's a word derived from combining the terms tension and integrity. So I discovered this word during a recent bodywork session with a colleague. And it's an architectural term that means a balance of discontinuous compression elements, i.e., separate things that push together, connected by continuous tension forces, which allows a system to exist in balance. Say that one more time. It's an architectural term that means a balance of discontinuous compression elements, separate things that push against each other, connected by continuous tension forces, which allows a system to exist in balance. So basically in our bodies, we have separate bones that our fascia muscles connect to, which create tension, which make our bones kind of float inside our skin. So this is similar to how a suspension bridge works, if you guys have seen one of those. So when our bodies are in balance, along with the help of gravity, movement is fluid and there's not one place in the body that needs to single-handedly support the whole. So think about that. Your body parts must float in unison in order to get from point A to point B, and not one body part can run the whole show. So when I heard this term, it stuck in my mind, and I couldn't figure out why. I kept coming back to it, I'd think about it, I'd mull it over, I would just really meditate on this word tensegrity. This concept, which was all about skeletal balance, which produced fluidity and movement, which allowed for optimal physical performance. Simple, right? This is how our bodies work. What's the big deal? But yet I was fascinated by this term, this concept of existing in a state of floating balance. So as we know, our body's physical functions have corresponding spiritual and metaphysical functions. Just as our bodies exist in floating balance, where there is not one single place that can support the whole, it follows that our spiritual lives, spiritual selves, must operate in the same way. So just like favoring one part of your body will weaken other parts of your body, when we lean on one aspect of our spiritual self in hopes that it will single-handedly support our whole spiritual journey, and then expect optimal spiritual performance, why are we surprised when things get out of whack and things collapse? The truth is, meditation alone can't do it. Neither can prayer alone, fasting alone, doing good deeds alone, or any one other thing alone. It is all of these things pushing against each other, causing tension due to our free will and others living here on the earth plane with us, but connected by the fascia of unconditional love that allows our spiritual life to move forward fluidly and in optimal performance. So, if we know that fluid balance, i.e. tensegrity, is needed for optimal physical and spiritual performance, why is it so hard? It's hard because our egos don't like to admit that we have areas of weakness, where we have favored one part of our lives to the detriment of another. So we simply allow the stronger parts of ourselves to attempt to carry the whole. But if we're honest with ourselves about where we're weak, we can recalibrate where we're overcompensating and dial back to allow our weaker parts to step up and become stronger, thus reestablishing tensegrity within. So whenever I give talks, they always have something to deal with what I've been going through personally. And when Reverend Rosie asked me to speak on this back in September, Spirit gave me the word balance at the time. And since then, I've been wondering, what was I going to say about it? And nothing came at all. I meditated, nothing. So that was a sign to me that I needed to look within and get personal and get vulnerable. to find the answer. Was my life in balance? Where was I not being honest with myself about my shortcomings? Where was I overcompensating? So I look back over the last few months and years of my spiritual life, and I noticed some areas of imbalance. 3 in particular: self-love, boundary setting, and self-trust. Anyone else have these issues? Okay, I'm not the only one. Oh, okay, all right. So let's explore these areas. So self-love. With this, we've all been socialized to believe that having self-love is selfish. But in truth, having self-love means you recognize the God within you and have reverence for that God within you, and therefore can recognize and respect it in other people. When you have the right amount of self-love, you're mindful of the situations that you allow yourself to be put into, of the people that you let into your inner circle, and the feelings that you let take root in the garden of your heart. This, I believe, is the true meaning of self-love. Upon really reflecting, I realized that I hadn't been consistent in my own self-love. There were situations that I allowed myself to be put into. There were people that I allowed into my inner circle that I knew would hinder my spiritual progress, but would feed my ego. There were feelings of anger, hurt, and resentment that I let take root in my heart. Yet somehow, I had expected my meditation, my yoga practice, going to church, healing other people with their spiritual issues. I expected all of these and other spiritual practices to carry the load where my self-love had been weak. And as a light worker, that's a pretty painful thing to have to openly admit. What about boundary setting? For many of us, setting boundaries can be very, very uncomfortable. I mean, you're forced to speak up and likely offend someone so that you can maintain your own sense of peace. That sounds super selfish, right? But boundaries really aren't meant to offend. They are put in place to honor the part of God within you, the one that you are able to recognize through self-love. And when you don't have boundaries in place, you let other people's traumas take priority over the God within you. And I will repeat that one more time. When you don't have boundaries in place, you let other people's traumas take priority over the God within you. And notice I said other people's traumas. Their wounds from others that they bleed on you. Their fears that they seek to control you so that they can feel safe. Other people's traumas. Once you understand that we incarnate in the flesh to deal with and learn from our traumas, you're able to have a little bit more grace with yourself and everyone that you encounter. And you're able to set boundaries, not only to honor and protect yourself, i.e. your God self, but also to help other people heal their trauma. We all came here to learn from others, as well as teach others. We are all students and teachers of life. Now, self-trust. This is one that I'm sure we all battle to keep in check. So many times we ignore our inner guidance out of fear of being wrong, and sometimes fear of being right. Now, we all know the words of Marianne Williamson. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God, and your playing small does not serve the world. It's true. We're scared of being awesome. So for me, this is the one that I think I struggle with the most, especially as a light worker, which I know we all are, otherwise we wouldn't be here gathered today. But the more we learn to trust our intuition, the stronger it becomes. As it does, we're better equipped to listen to the guidance and avoid situations that, one, violate our boundaries, and two, move us out of that space of self-love where we fail to recognize the bubbles of God that we all are. So, how do we find balance in these areas? How can we maintain tensegrity in our spiritual bodies similar to that of our physical bodies, where both physical and non-physical move with balanced fluidity, resulting in optimal performance? Well, here's what I suggest. First, go back to the core of who you are. Why did you incarnate in this lifetime? The answer? To heal. You came here to heal yourself. If you didn't need healing, you'd be in the spirit world as a guide, helping those here on the earth plane. But because our higher selves knew we could be of better service to others if we healed our traumas first, we embodied flesh to come here and learn through experiences so that our souls could evolve. So now that you know that you came to heal, next question is, what did you come to heal? What is the trauma that your soul has held on to for one or more lifetimes, and with who? To find the answers, you need to dig deep, be open, be honest, be vulnerable with yourself as you look at the reoccurring themes and experiences and feelings that have hurt you or thrown you off kilter in your life. Too many times we focus on the giver of our lessons and not the lessons themselves. If we miss this crucial distinction, we will be given the same lesson that will invoke the same painful feelings, but through a different person. I call this process of reflecting on your truths, finding your soul truths. These are the themes that your soul must express in order to heal from trauma. Once you understand your soul truths, you'll be able to reclaim the power that you've likely given away as you've gone through lessons in the past. In the workshop that I'll be giving this afternoon, we're going to uncover those truths so that you can be more mindful and self-aware as you make decisions and move forward through your spiritual and personal life. So once you understand that you came here to heal yourself and why you did, you can look at yourself with more self-love, compassion, and grace, and clearly see that you are an extension of the Creator, the divine I am that I am. When you look into the mirror and love every single part of what you see, you will have no problem honoring all that you see. Now, how many of you here have done mirror work before? A few of you? Okay, good. For those of you who haven't done mirror work, let me tell you about it. So you're going to find a time and a place where you'll be alone and undisturbed at home. And for the ladies, I recommend taking off your makeup so you can really be with your true natural self. Now look at your reflection in the mirror. Look at your face. Look at your hairline. Look at your hair, your smile, your wrinkles, your freckles, your lips, your eyes, every inch of your face. And as you do this, say, I love you. You'll be surprised how hard this can be, but keep at it. Keep repeating, I love you, until you mean it. And you'll know when you mean it when you start to cry. Why? Because instead of your ears simply hearing the words, your soul will begin to feel the emotion carried within those words. And that emotion is that of unconditional love. It'll be overwhelming. As you cry, know that these tears are washing away feelings of inadequacy, self-sabotage, imperfection, and unworthiness. As you cry, give yourself permission to feel without judgment and release without guilt any and all feelings that come up. The only response to anything you feel is, I love you. Now that you have acknowledged that we came here to heal yourself, and understand that you can do so by fiercely loving yourself internally so that it reflects externally, you'll be able to trust what you tell yourself. Once your intuition feels that you can trust her, she'll speak up more and louder, so much so that you'll have no doubt that you're being guided and directed in life. And when you know that you know that you know that you are being guided by divine through your higher self, you'll have no qualms about setting boundaries to protect your relationship with your higher self and the divine within you. As our spiritual tensegrity begins to balance and hold itself in place, our physical bodies will naturally seek to mirror that which is going on the inside. Thus, you may notice that places where you tended to hold tension, maybe your hips, your back, your neck, no longer feel tight. Physical ailments that you had may suddenly lessen or resolve themselves, all so that your physical body can find its state of balanced fluidity. The Bible says, as above, so below. As in the spirit world, so it is in the physical, earth plane world. As it is in the energetic spiritual body, so it is in the physiological body. Whenever you sense that your spiritual tensegrity is out of balance, pause and check to see where it's being reflected back to you in your physical body. And see if it is rooted in a slight dip in self-love, a slack in maintaining boundaries, or if a bit of doubt crept in to question your own intuition. Tensegrity, a word derived from combining the terms tension and integrity. Don't let the tension of life here on earth move you away from your innate need to be in spiritual tensegrity, a need that was so strong that you chose to be born into this lifetime in order to heal your soul, to evolve your soul. May all of you find and maintain your tensegrity so that you can be the light workers that you came to be, that the world needs now more than ever. Thank you.